You want to know where are the contracts?
Right. Who has a small business that wants to, be a part of this and be one of those people that you guys can pull from and, help serve the government.
The government does not work with the best people. They work with the best people that come to them.
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
And on there right now, we've built up a community of about 3,000 business owners that are looking to do that. So if they can just go there, it's free. They can go in there.
A couple of things I'm gonna need y'all to do while y'all watching it. So as you're listening to this right now, make sure you open up a second tab or something in your browser and just go to that website right now. What was it again?
We're talking about federal, the big boys. This is not a minority program. It's not a women program. They have needs. If you have capacity, they're looking for you.
All of the biggest companies in the world do business with the government. You got, at some point, if you're going to go to a certain level, you have to do business. Can you kind of talk about that a bit? Okay.
Headed to the top, there ain't none of y'all stopping me. Used to say I never get a ring, Charles Barkley. Now I got a wife, got kids, own property. Bubble-eyed beans that look like that be watching me. Okay, I lied about the beans, but that was hard though. I'm still in that black act, but she starred though. Cause that's all it takes. I'm flashing for. I'm on my grind, not no more fashion show.
What's up, y'all? It's AJ Simmons here, founder of the Clean Biz Network, and I am the Cleaning Business GOAT. But today, I got the government contracting GOAT, y'all, and he was also able to speak this year at the 2024 Clean Biz Network Conference, and he's back for his second interview with me, y'all, because I know he always brings great knowledge and great stuff, so couldn't wait to bring him back. So without further ado, please welcome of GovCon Giants, the #1 YouTube channel and podcast for teaching federal procurement, Mr. Eric Coffie. What's up, Eric?
How's it going, AJ? Appreciate you, my man.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming back, man. It's always a pleasure. So without further ado, before we jump into all of the government questions that I got for you with the contracting, first, just tell us real quick and remind us, who is Eric Coffie, a little bit about your background and where you're from.
Sure. Yeah. No. So, I started out doing government contracts back in 2007, 2008, when the real estate market crashed. And I did that for about 10, 12 years. After that, I jumped into YouTube, teaching people how to do it. After a successful stint, I had some experiences and stories I want to share that I feel like were not being told. I also saw that there were people that were peers of mine that looked like me that were also not getting the publication, the publicity, the accolades and recognition for all the hard work they did. And so I wanted to capture their stories. And so that's why I launched a podcast in 2018. And so the YouTube channel was me talking about how to do what I did. The podcast was capturing the stories of people that look like us that were excelling at this industry.
That's what's up. Well, so just real quick, what exactly is GovCon Giants?
So it's interesting. That's actually a really good question, because for the first, GovCon Giants has evolved, right? So originally, GovCon Giants was the name of a course that I created. It was called the GovCon Giants course. And so then it was the podcast, but it wasn't a company. So it was the name of the podcast. I said, okay, we want to feature giants that are doing government contracts. And so that was originally what the idea was, but it was just a name. It wasn't an incorporation. And then I named my course the GovCon Giants course. But then I was like, it's still, because I had the branding associated with it. And so since that time, GovCon Giants, essentially, we said, okay, we are essentially the small business association that I always wish we had. And so we're a collection of small businesses that serves the federal government. And, that was essentially our makeup for the last 5 years. Today, what we realize is that we're actually even bigger than that. Okay. And so GovCon Giants, by the way, just for everyone to know how we're classified, we're a nonprofit organization. And so originally, like I said, we make free content for people wanting to do federal business help. But we realized that there was a greater need that needs to happen. And so now what we've done is we've realized that the government, given the situation that we're having, all the cyber attacks, how we're falling behind in a cyber race to China, all of our advanced technologies, we're losing that race to our foreign adversaries. We really realize that we're much bigger than just a small business network. We actually realized that our ultimate purpose, our highest purpose, is serving government customers. That's why I only talk about federal contracts. And so GovCon Giants is now morphed into a consortium of business owners that we're bringing to the government to solve their highest technology needs. And so technology doesn't mean only IT, right? There's technical solutions in construction, there's technical solutions in janitorial, because if the government has, for example, which we've done, there's a way that they were building these buildings, AJ, and we presented them with a way to build them faster, cheaper, using the latest technologies. Right. So we apply that to business. So again, if you're in the janitorial space, if there's some new tools that are coming out, right? Maybe there's some new machines, maybe there's automated machines. That's bringing that to an old industry. And so what we realized is we've really been a pipeline of helping the government solve these needs and issues. And so what GovCon Giants today represents is a consortium of collection of accelerators and innovators, people that want to come in and help us solve these major issues that the government is facing, so that we can, one, be a better steward of our tax dollars, and two, help thwart some of our foreign adversaries, because they're attacking us and they're bringing their greatest. So we have now morphed into a consortium where we're actually solving the government's needs. They tell us some of their needs and their challenges, and then we're going out and find the business owners that can help fulfill those.
Nice. I love it. So how would somebody, because this wasn't even on my questions, but now getting a better understanding of that, how would somebody who has a small business that wants to, be a part of this and be one of those people that you guys can pull from and, help serve the government?
So right now we have a center of excellence that we have constructed as the first place that I tell people. It's called the federalhelpcenter.com. So it's federalhelpcenter.com. You just type it in. And federal, FEDERAL, help, HELP, center.com. And on there right now, we've built up a community of about 3,000 business owners that are looking to do that. So if they can just go there, it's free. They can go in there. And so we've now taken all of our experts, and they're in there talking about these issues every single day. We might be doing a training right now while we speak.
Wow, that's amazing. So that's one thing I need y'all to do, y'all. There's a couple of things I'm gonna need y'all to do while y'all watching it. So as you're listening to this right now, make sure you open up a second tab or something in your browser and just go to that website right now. What was it again?
federalhelpcenter.com.
There you go. So make sure y'all go there. He said it's free. That's where you want to be. Now, the next thing, though, because this is the one I really called you here for, and you got an event coming up called FedCon Summit. All right. So I want to jump into that. I saw you posting about on Instagram, and I said, I don't even know what's going on, but it's a big deal. Let me get this guy over here so he can let my audience know too before they miss out. So what exactly is FedCon Summit? Yeah, just start there, because I got a couple questions about it.
So again, FedCon stands for federal contracting. I just want to make people know that, right? Everyone's short acronym. So what we're doing is, the name of our summit is actually called Contracting Connections. The reason why we said FedCon, because one of those federal contracting connections specifically, it's not just contracts with local and state officials. We're not talking about that. We're talking about federal, the big boys. And so what we've done is, again, going back with our mission of how do we service the government's needs? How do we help in that regard? So what we've done is we have pulled in a host of federal agencies. We've pulled in a host of the top defense contractors, and we said, look, you've got a bunch of money and a bunch of problems. Can you talk about those to my community? Because I've got a bunch of people that want more opportunity, and they're looking and they're hungry. And so what I've done is, and AJ, you know this about me, I travel the whole country. I speak at conferences all over the world. I mean, I'm out of town right now as we're doing this. But I'm constantly flying around pitching to the government and agencies. They keep crying to me like, Eric, we got this need. We need this. We need this. We need that. And then on the other end, people that my community is like, well, they don't call me. I've been trying to do this. Right. So it's like it's a cat and a mouse chasing each other, or a dog chasing a tail. But so I said, listen, okay, I'm going to put something together to put everybody in a room so we could talk about your needs and the people that can fulfill those needs. And so what we did is, I said, the other conferences, it's great that they brag about money, right? Because what I've seen is everybody goes, we got this much money, this much money, this money. That doesn't mean anything to you. Right. You want to know, where are the contracts?
Right.
I don't care how much money you get, because all that don't apply to me.
Right.
I want to talk about the contracts. I want to talk about opportunities. So let's talk about a program that you have and how can we on-ramp more small businesses onto the program. And I want to say this is not reserved for any type of social economic group. This is not a minority program. It's not a women program. This is, they have needs. If you have capacity, they're looking for you.
Love it.
And AJ, I always say this, and I said this at your conference, right? And in fact, even when we left your conference, I reached out to some of your people to see if they can go on projects, but the projects were too big for them. And I mean, but those were the needs were at. Does that make the needs are huge.
Yeah.
So but what happens is that's why I believe, AJ, for me, the consortium model is the best way to approach this, because what's happening is if they gave me, like I think at the time, as it applies to your audience, they offered us a $9 million a year maintenance contract. I think that's what the value was. And you didn't have anybody who could do $9 million a year. Yeah. And so we need to figure out how we could come together collectively and do that.
Right.
As opposed to saying, well, I can't do it, Jan can't do it. You telling me that you guys can't come together collectively if we got to get this thing done?
Right.
So it's really a mindset shift. And so that's what I've been doing as part of my advocacy work publicly for the last 7 years online, is just trying to convince people that may not have capacity how they can level up to get the capacity. Because the truth is, and we've all heard this, as you go higher and higher, the air gets thinner, the competition gets less, there's nobody up there. You're up there alone. And so the game that we're playing with, there's not a lot of people here that can do that. But the rewards are the highest rewards, and the returns are the greatest returns you'll receive.
Yeah, that sounds like that saying, 10x is easier than 2x. Was we got to stop thinking we got to keep raising up. No, just go up there. You want to get that? Well, figure out, get more creative, stop being scared. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really been my mission. That's why for me, a lot of people have created channels talking about government contracts, but really the stuff that these people are talking about are the things that keep you in a rat race. The things that we're talking about, things that build wealth generationally. People say that as a way to get you to watch your content, but when you look at the kind of stuff that it gets you chasing, pursuing, $50 contracts, $100 contracts, that's not what we do.
Right. I love it. You say
for context, for everybody listening to me, we literally have, we literally have the top defense contractor speaking at our summit. So, for example, if you look up, we got somebody from Boeing coming. I'm on calls with Lockheed Martin. I'm on calls with Northrop Grumman. We've got someone coming from SAIC. These are all multi-billion-dollar companies. Yeah. And so we've got the chief technology officer speaking. Why? Because he cares. These people, they care about our national interests, and they care about solving these problems. And so they're coming to speak to you to see who's out there who can help them. They're not coming for vanity metrics. They don't need more money. These people do 10 billion, 12. They don't need more money, AJ.
Right.
They're going to get the contracts. What they're lacking is people like us who can help them come up with innovative ideas. One of the things I want to leave people with, we as small businesses are not playing to our greatest strengths. So what do I mean by that? Mm-hmm. I mean that big companies, when I talk to them, AJ, do you know what their biggest problem is? When you're operating a big company, if you've ever worked in corporate America, there's a lot of bureaucracy. They can't make decisions fast. They can't pivot fast.
Right.
You've heard that.
Yep.
Now, small business are the opposite. They can pivot fast. They can make decisions fast. They can turn on a dime, right?
Right.
So rather than looking at us not having capacity or not having capital as a weakness, let's look at us being able to pivot and turn on a dime as a strength. Yep. And then we can bring that to these guys who can't do those things.
Right.
So we just have to change how we look at stuff, because really, I hear them, the big companies crying too. They're not like, oh, we're perfect, we do this. They're like, listen, Eric, if I got to take something to market, it takes us 2 years, 3 years.
Right.
Even if it's the greatest intentions.
Yeah.
AJ, if I said, look, AJ, can you come up with a solution for this thing? You're like, yeah, I can have that done in like 2 months.
Yep. Yeah.
You see, so they're wanting that from us.
Right.
And so instead of us saying, "What, we don't have this, we don't have that, we don't have this, we're a minority, blah blah blah," that doesn't. We don't need that.
Yeah.
Being a minority is not a disadvantage, and it should not be a weakness. It's an actual advantage, and it's a strength because you have a because you grew up in a different environment around different circumstances. You've probably had to be more creative.
Yep.
You've probably had to overcome more obstacles than other people. And so you have built up a superpower that you can now bring to the table and offer people who are intellectual, that have not had those same experiences, a unique perspective that they can't see. And so that's the part that I want to talk about, bringing that aspect of things, not your socioeconomic, the skin color to the table, your wit, your craftiness, we do it in music and we do it in dance.
Yep.
We do it in entertainment. Why can't we do it in intellectual capacity? We do, but we just not enough. And so I like to see more.
No, I love that. I appreciate that, Eric. Look, you got us ready to go ahead and come now, right? You pumped us already. So hold up. So let me slow down a bit. So, all right, FedCon Summit. When is it? Where is it?
November 14th to 15th, Miami Fountain Blue Hotel.
Gotcha. Okay, but and then who can come? Anybody can come. Anybody in business?
Anybody in business can come. I mean, even if you're learning business, you could come. I really, if you have a new invention, if you have a new technology solution, if you are a small business looking to grow and scale in government contracts, if you're somebody that you have heard about federal contracting and you're not really quite sure, if you also feel like you've been to some of these government contracts events and you don't feel like it's been totally inclusive, right? We're going to have a very inclusive event because obviously me as a leader of the event, we make sure that the people that we're bringing, they're not going to talk down on you, right? Because sometimes people will talk down on you. You go to these events and people talk down on you, like, because you're asking questions and you're like, well, I don't really know. So we have 4 different tracks. And so one of the tracks is specifically for like GovCon 101. So for new people, right? So we've got a track on that. We have a track for advanced people. So we're going to talk about acquisitions. How do you buy companies? How do you sell companies? Okay. So we've got people in there that, again, I have a big pool of people to pull from. And so we have people in there that are going to talk about how do you position your company to sell, or how do you position your company to buy? Remind me to come back to that, AJ. Okay. And then we have the digital summit where we're discussing the 16 critical infrastructure areas that all of us need to be concerned about in terms of how are we protecting our infrastructure, meaning like our water, our bridges, like our power grid. How are we protecting that from cyber attacks? So those are specifically for the engineers and the real like high up people, DevSecOps, software people, right? We've got, and that one, everyone in that group, we have the former chief technology officer for IBM who's speaking, who's leading that front. Everyone in that group worked at multi-billion-dollar companies. That's the thing that is really where they're like begging for help. Like, I mean, we're talking about chip design, manufacturing design, DevSecOps. So again, everything is centered around how do we help solve our government and defense needs.
And that's something I wanted to point out. You kind of went right into it because even at the Clean Business Network conference, you spoke about it. Now, everybody in the room, everybody's eyes lit up. Like when you spoke about basically all of the biggest companies in the world do business with the government. You got at some point, if you're going to go to a certain level, you have to do business. Can you kind of talk about that a bit?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny. I saw this TikTok the other day that said that companies, even like Hershey's chocolate, they got their start. They started making chocolate for the troops in one of the wars, like World War I and something like that. The cereal companies got their start. General Mills, like all these people were serving war fighters at one point in their existence, and that helped them grow their businesses and scale. And so it's really, I don't know very many companies that are Fortune 100s or Fortune 500s that don't sell to the government. I don't know very many. And I mean, eventually, when you get to a size enough, they're gonna call you. They're gonna come into your door. They're gonna be asking for your help. So for me, I think it would behoove us as people that are disenfranchised or that are unknown businesses out there, right, to already start with that approach. Why wait and not just start there? So I just decided, like, let's just start there where everyone's going to end up at anyways, that has all the money.
Right.
So like for me, I want to make it not so terrifying, not so intimidating. I always say this: if you can read and write, you can do government contracts, and I still believe it. Nothing's changed about those thoughts. I haven't changed my positioning on it. I just took a call with a gentleman, a Black gentleman, that he's been in business for 2010, and his contract is $260 million. He's had 2 contracts that sustained him for the last 14 years. And all he did was he placed staffing, people, training, solutions. So again, there's things like that out here, 5-year contracts, 10-year contracts, that once you figured out this marketplace, they'll take you for the next decade.
Yeah. You know, as you said it, I got 2 things on that. I don't know which one I want to tackle first, but I'm going to do this one first. With such great opportunity like that out there, what do you think is stopping people from, taking advantage of this? Like, it's not like,
intimidated.
Okay.
Most people think very poorly of themselves. Yeah. I say that, and it's the reason why and look, however people want to take this, why do you think Instagram is so successful? People put on all these filters on their faces, how they look. Have you ever interviewed somebody who you looked at their profile and their picture's one thing, and you get them on a show and their picture looks so
Absolutely.
So most people are already insecure. Like, hey, if you are comfortable how you look, why are you changing your face profile?
Facts.
So I'm just saying, it's, most people are just very insecure internally, and however that comes from, I don't, family, friends, whatever, America, I don't care. But so they're just insecure. And we just really, that to me is the root of the problem, is because once the people say, look, and that's why I continue to do this. That's why I'm still here in the throes. That's why I'm still showing my face. That's why I'm showing the faces of other people that have helped, that look like the whole population, right? So I try to show a reflection of America doing this, not just the people that you see in Congress. And so I'm more focused on reflecting what people that look like what America looks like as a whole, of all different sizes and ages and genders and ethnicities and backgrounds, right? Doing this, even single moms, and so like none of that precludes people with felonies, people coming out of prison. One of my most successful students is an ex-felon, did 7 years in prison, but he did $3 million in contracts last year. Guess what? Wow. He's the owner. He ain't the worker. The difference that people don't get is, like, we're already saying, I can't do this because of this. I can't do it. We're putting up our own walls, which is part of the social construct that America has ingrained in a lot of the lower class people, is that they've essentially put into our minds to think less of ourselves so that we don't go after these things that where all the real money and real opportunity lies.
Yeah, I love it. I want to go back to the statement you made right before. You talked about, okay, this guy, he got these 2 contracts, doing multiple million, hundreds of million, and only 2 contracts though. And so for the person, it's an elementary question, but I still have to ask it just in case somebody's thinking this, right? I got to play devil's advocate. So for the person, it's like, okay, well, what happens when that 10-year contract ends? Now what? So what would your answer be to that?
So the thing is, nothing stopped him from getting more contracts. He got complacent.
Right.
He told me.
Yeah.
Because I asked him, I said, why are you on the phone with me? I said, I deal with people who are successful but not done federal work, right? So again, in my trainings, we train students how to start doing federal contracts, companies above 10 million in revenue. But those companies typically don't have experience doing contracts. So he said to me that he had been very successful and he went from a small business to a large business because of the success of the contract. He grew into it. And so I go, well, most people don't need help if you've done that. And then what I found out was that they got complacent. And because, and not agent, I'm not, like I said, if you win a $200 million contract, agent, and you decide not to chase anymore, I'm not going to knock you for that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so you can't really knock someone.
Yeah.
That's one of those, how do you say that? When you never settle for being happy, like and content, like at some point, like, hey, like we did this, we're doing well, we're knocking out, they love us.
Yeah. I mean, even at 1% profit, if you're doing nothing,
I mean,
we'll be chasing.
I'm just saying, like, that's a major feat to be proud of, not to knock down and say, why did he go do more?
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. So, all right. Next question. Now, how important do you think it is? Actually, I already know, but I got to ask it for the viewers because we talked about this last interview. But how important do you think it is for people, especially as minorities, to go out of these different certifications, like woman-owned certification, minority-owned, those type of things, in order to get government contracts?
I think that they should focus on learning how to get government contracts rather than focus on certifications. I will never back off of that opinion. It's contrary to what 99% of people tell you, but the 99% of the people are not the 1% that are getting all the contracts. They're the 99% that are teaching you to get the contracts. And so, unfortunately, I can say this, and I let me just restate that. I won't say unfortunately. I will say, just as a matter of fact, when I talk to people that work in contracting offices and we get off the call, they don't state this a lot publicly, but that's their biggest issue with minorities, is that they somehow believe that they think of it like some sort of a entitlement program.
Entitlement, correct.
So what I've seen is a lot of times is it really, depending upon who you're dealing with, it could turn people off. So people go, well, I help me get the state contract, help me get this local contract, which is fine. The state and locals are totally different, right? Again, I always like to use the example of abortion. Abortion is dealt at the state level. Yep. So you can't compare abortion law at the federal government to abortion law at the state, which is different, right? Gun laws, same thing, right? Handled differently on a state-by-state basis. So it's not a fair comparison to say that, right? Everything doesn't translate. Just because you want to translate your brain doesn't make it translate.
Yeah.
So for me, my most successful guests have leveraged their relationships, they've leveraged their know-how and their intellect to get into the door, and then depending upon who they're dealing with, the person may or may not be able to take credit for their certification.
Gotcha. Now,
let me expand on that really quick. So let me explain something for people. And I just did an interview recently with Michelle Burnett, who's the president of the HubZone Council, represents all the HubZone companies in the world. Right? So not in the world, in the US. But so Michelle just told me this stat. I don't remember it, but essentially, let's just look at all certifications, right? 23% goal for small businesses across the board. That's what they're projecting. The government only solicits about 10 to 12% contracts for small businesses.
Okay.
But they meet their goal of 23%. So if it was about certifications, why are they not soliciting 23% of the opportunities of small businesses? And then how are they meeting their goals? So the tricky thing is that they do, and this is what Michelle was talking about with HubZone, because HubZone has like 5% goal.
Yeah.
They hit the goal, but they put out like 0.5% bids for HubZone. So what they do, AJ, is that they take credit for you winning, even if they didn't put it out under your certification.
Okay.
So what happens that you have these certifications, you win fair and square. Regardless, you didn't need the certification, you just won.
Right. I got you.
They take the credit on their records that they helped the small business, even though they didn't help you.
That's perfect. It's just like kind of, and allegedly, it's kind of like they said allegedly when COVID first came out, and when people passed, there was an alleged rumor out that said that, well, hospitals would still deem you and mark your death as COVID, even though it might have been something else that really caused it, but they'll still mark it as COVID because they were able to get certain incentives. Yeah, incentives if somebody passed and they mark it as COVID for the hospital. So sound like the same type of principle there. I get that. It makes perfect sense. All right. So
that's why I tell people why I justify the certification don't matter because they're just taking credit for you. So they're not actually putting it out that way so what happens is people come to me, they get this big interpretation. Well, they got all this certification work.
Yeah.
They don't. They're getting credit for you being certified.
Gotcha.
The amount of certification work is a fraction of what you see. They're just taking credit for everybody's having certifications.
Yeah. So all of this preference stuff, where they say
it's not being solicited as preference. It's just they're getting the credit without doing the work.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Okay. Fair enough. That makes perfect sense to me. All right. Next one. So with that said, all right, I got another one people talk about all the time, the middlemaning thing, where they say, okay, well, I can be a minority and I can just get the contract and middleman and then get somebody else with a bigger company to subcontract under me so we can win the contract. One, I know you don't like the term middlemaning, so we can talk about that a bit. And then two, how true is that about basically I be the prime? I don't have a huge cleaning company, but I'm good at closing deals on government contracts, get the contract, and then get a bigger company to go sub for me. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, yes, you can do it with some or many restrictions.
Okay.
So, I think that when you label it middleman, it really takes away or devalues what you're proposing. And what it does is it brings a negative connotation to the industry that basically it perpetuates the stereotype that we just don't want to work anyways.
Right.
We don't want to work. We want a free handout.
Right.
I want to get certified, middleman it, and just get paid to be black.
Right.
You don't have to say that. Just say that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
You want to get paid for your color of your skin, or you want to get paid because you're a woman.
Right.
It's just
or veteran. Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Why don't we just say that?
Right.
How does that help? Again, going back to what our need is, solving the government's needs. How does that help solve the government need?
Yeah.
So you can see why, AJ, if we continue to use this language, when people take away these programs or just deem them irreprehensible, right, and fair, unjust to the other people, you can see why that's we're giving them a justification to do that, because we're saying we don't need to do no work. We're owed this.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to say whether we're not owed what we're not owed. Right. I'm just saying that the appearance that you're giving to other people who may have more power and control over these programs is that you don't really want to do any work. So what all I'm saying is change your vocabulary, change your language, and say that you actually want to build a company of substantial value. However, you need a larger partner to mentor you in that regard. And so what you're going to do is you're going to be the protege to learn from this larger company. It's going to be in your name, but they're going to provide you value so that you can build a capacity to eventually be able to do it on your own.
Yeah, this is great. It's like a great mindset shift. And it really, as cliche as this is, but it goes back to JFK when he said, ask not what the government can do for you, but what you can do for your government. It's like put on a mindset of serving versus getting served, and you'll get a lot further along the way. I love that.
I'm not saying that these things can't be done. Clearly, we teach people how to work with larger companies to help do contracts, but we don't teach them to middleman. We teach them to add value, right? So your skills is doing the capture, doing the business development, organizing it, because people don't want to do that. They just want to fulfill the order. So if you can come in and learn that set of skill sets, that's extremely valuable. The government actually credits you for managing the project as something of value. That's recognized under the FAR.
Yeah.
So rather than say, I just want a middleman and get in and get out of the way and get a piece, and let them, instead of saying, hey, I want to come in and project manage, I want to come in and we're gonna come in and win the contract, but I'm gonna hire the best person to fulfill the order. Yeah. Yeah. So whether that's internal team or a large business or another small business, you see how the person on the government side sitting across the table can actually respect you and value that much more than saying, oh, I'm just gonna middleman do a contract, John. You give me that contract, John, middleman that thing, get out of the way. Right. The guy's like, so
right.
So do I talk to you? Do I talk to them?
Right. why are you here actually? Like,
You here.
right.
So
Love that.
it's just really a poor person's mindset. And it's one of those, that's why people fall victim to scams in this industry, because they like, everyone wants to get rich quick thing. And I've always said government contracting is get rich, it's just get rich slow. But it's definitely get rich. But no one wants to work.
That's what I say. Get rich quick and do no at least work as possible.
Get rich quick and do no work.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. So then every person minority should be rich.
Yeah.
We don't look at the logic of these things.
Yeah.
Okay, if you should get rich because you're a woman or a minority, then why is every person minority just gonna get registered to get rich? Just give us all. We all middleman and we all just make a bunch of money.
Right.
Don't work that way.
No, I love that. I love that, man. That's great right there. So now you think that new entrepreneurs getting into government contracting, should they automatically go for the multi-million? Because we kind of we talked about earlier how we're thinking too small. So would it be wise to come straight in and say, you know what, I'm gonna go after the $9 million government contract, or should we hold on now? Let's try to focus on what you can handle. What do you think the mindset should be going into it?
I think it depends on how much you understand about your business.
Okay.
So, for example, just because are you saying you're new in business or new to government contracts? Those are two distinctions that are different, right?
All right. Well, let's do both.
When people say new, because I work with companies that never done federal, but like some of your business, like they do $6 million a year in work. Yep. Well, if you've done $9 million in work outside of federal, you can do $9 million inside of federal. It's the same difference. Does that make sense? You know, that's what I'm saying. So that's a distinction that I'm making.
Okay, fair enough. All right, bam. So how realistic is it for somebody to just come into government contracting? I'm doing $2 million out here, and I'm trying to get in a government contract, and then I come in and try. All right, well, I'm gonna go out the $2 million contract for my first contract. How realistic is it for you to actually pull that off?
Very realistic.
Okay.
The thing is, they're looking at your past performance and history. So if you've got past performance and history, I mean, look, the government is putting out bids, hundreds by the day.
Yeah.
So, now what's stopping you from competing against the next guy who had the contract? Nothing. No one's standing in your way. One of my favorite sayings is the government does not work with the best people. They work with the best people that come to them.
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
Because the government can't go out and grab you, AJ. They can't be like, oh man, AJ I've seen his work. He's amazing. No, you have to be registered. You have to, I have to know about you. You got to be in our system. Maybe they go into another. They can't just go hire people without, because it's taxpayer dollars. So you have to go through the formality, right? But I have not met a federal agency person, and I mean, I don't know them all. There's hundreds of thousands of people, so not like I've met all of them. But I haven't met one that said, Eric, we love all of our contractors. They're all amazing. They all do great work. They're all impeccable. No one says that.
Right.
No one. Just think about your own experiences in life, in your own houses and homes. Right. You think about your own business. AJ, when you guys are doing janitorial work at stadiums and other places, do they go, oh, AJ, no, we're good. We don't need, like, people go and say, oh yeah, that last guy, maybe they start slacking. Maybe somebody quit. Maybe an employee that was their favorite person. You know what I mean? It's the same thing in the government. So there's people out here that are winning these contracts that are not doing a great job.
Yeah.
Now, there are people that are doing great jobs too. But you don't care about that part. Remember, we're solving the government's needs.
Right.
So we're looking for the people that are in the industry that have some gaps that are saying, look, they're not doing a great job.
Yeah. Love that, man. So
one more thing. I want people, that's the way that we teach people to have a compelling argument, right? Like, because I know small business professionals, they tell me what they need. And they'll tell you too, AJ.
Yeah.
Once you do your market research and you say, okay, I want to come these areas, do your market research, you figure out who's buying what you sell in terms of the government side, the offices level, not the high level, Navy, Army. You got to get down to the commands and then to the offices. Lots of research. But once you did that, then you start talking to the people and then they'll tell you like what they need.
Yeah.
They'll tell you.
Yeah.
This is not a secret. They're trying to fix the problem.
Right. Right.
So you know what the problem is, AJ? We just want to bid work.
Yeah. Like, where can I go to bid on government contracts? Yeah.
We just want to bid.
Yeah.
We think that the whole value is in bidding.
Yeah.
So that's all we care about. Like, man, if I ain't bid, I ain't winning nothing. The big boys, they spend years sometimes with some of these decision makers, courting them, understanding the requirements, understanding the needs, understanding the challenges. So when it does come time to bid, they can tell you, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You get me? So that's kind of stuff. And I'll give you an example.
Go ahead.
Perfect example. We're working now at a Newport, a base up in Maine, Portsmouth, Maine. And it took me 5 years to get into that base.
Nice.
5 years. 5.
Yeah.
Now, I've been there 3 times personally, and then some of our team members have been there, 3 or 4 other times, right? In 5 years. Had several meetings with engineers, several meetings with offices, and they were telling us about all their problems, right? So now, I will say this as a caveat. Something that I learned at that meeting did land me another 5-year contract at another base. So it wasn't all for naught. Some information that they shared with me about how they did their procurement, I was able to take to another naval base and share with them, and then they turned that into a contract. So it wasn't all wasted. But this is the important thing. What I learned from those meetings, when I got a meeting with the new person who changed hands, when he and I got on a phone call, I was able to lay out to him all the problems and challenges they were having in the base because I learned about the previous meetings that I had with them. So I said to the guy, I said, hey, listen, we already know that this base is very tight on space. So there's not a lot of lay down area to put our materials. We have an office off-site, 20 minutes outside the base where we're going to store our materials. And we're only going to bring in what we need. Also, we know that we're working around 6 nuclear reactors, and so we're aware of the process of working on nuclear reactors. So we make sure that our PMs are certified to be able to handle that. The other thing is that we're aware that you have a small pool of contractors in this area. So what we're doing is we're going to be pulling contractors from other states and bringing them here to help fulfill the work. So we won't take away from the workforce that you got here. Guess what happened? He's like, you know everything about us. We got a contract in 3 months. 5 years, $4.5 million.
That's crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy. And then you put in it's almost like you put in 5 years worth of work, but hell, even if you wanted to categorize that, that's $1 million a year. If you want to put it that way, not necessarily that way.
Meetings. It was 3 meetings.
See, you know what I mean?
It wasn't 5 years. It took 5 years.
Right.
3 meetings.
Right.
Does that get me? So let's break them down to how much time. Okay, driving up there. So let's say 8 hours a day, 3 days. So it's 24 hours of work.
Right. That's crazy.
But what I learned was valuable enough to go back to share with the new person that just crushed it. So the previous meetings were me learning about what were the issues. So then when the time came to present to the right guy, girl, then I was able to hit him on it, and they were like, boom.
Yeah. So what you just said.
We can all do that.
Yeah. And I would say what you just said, it kind of already answers what I gotta ask, but I gotta ask it because I hear it so much. And people say, well, I don't want to get into government contracting because all they do is go with the lowest bidder, and I don't want to fight over pennies. Can you talk about that? About, is it true that the government typically goes for the lowest bidder?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
That's, again, state and local is separated from federal.
Yeah.
Local is true. Local, I've seen them, that's what they do. State, probably 90% true. Federal government, no. Okay. There's something called best value. And the kind, you know what it is, AJ? We are not talking to successful people.
Yeah.
We need to spend more time talking to successful people.
Yeah.
This is my advice to everybody listening to this. Go hang around with some people that do 50, 80, 100 million. I'm not saying you know them. You might not know them.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, where do we find them?
At my conference. All my rich friends.
There you go.
At my conference, all my people that are hanging around with celebrities and entertainers that do hundreds of millions of dollars, thousands of employees, they will be there.
Yeah. Where do we go? So how do we go to the conference? Again,
GCGsummit.com. GCGsummit.com.
All right, y'all. Make sure y'all go there because I'm going to.
I'm gonna have a whole bunch of millionaires in the room, and I'm gonna have some billion-dollar companies in the room, and it's gonna be success. They're gonna be talking to you at a regular level, and they're gonna be telling you. And so all these foolish arguments, things that have been put into someone's mind, and I know someone say, "Oh, Eric, no, that's my experience." Again, talk to people. The kind of AJ. So one of the things that you didn't bring up, right? There's something called simplified acquisition.
Okay.
Those are the contracts under 700,000. That's what most of us get. Okay. So with those kind of contracts, that's why you're getting that. When you start doing the bigger contracts, we have to do a technical approach, you have to do orals and multiple phases. It's not how it goes.
Yeah.
In fact, I have stories of people on my show that said, "No, I have people in my students that said I wasn't the lowest guy and I lost," because they're used to thinking being low makes you win.
Right.
It's just if you're listening to this, type in the word FAR and put best value, and you'll see. I mean, it just doesn't happen. It's just the kind of contracts that the people are pursuing, and what they're you get me in that area where they're at. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
We're working on stuff right now that has nothing to do with the price.
Yeah. So they're playing too small, money wise, and you're playing local, which is still playing too small.
Well, they're playing small, thinking wise.
Yeah. Got it.
It's thinking. It's really mind. It's not. It's thinking.
Got it. Now I am pressed for time, so because I'm out, see my alarm keep going off. So I gotta ask this one thing before we go, and it's this. So if somebody's watching this video right now and they're scared to make a jump because they might not have started a business yet, what advice could you tell that person just in general about entrepreneurship?
Entrepreneurship is really hard. It's not for the faint of heart, but so is life.
Right.
So. The truth is, I love Jim Rohn. He's a great speaker. And he says, the thing about life, you're not going to get out of it alive. So you can play it safe, and we could put you in a prison cell and feed you every day, give you 3 meals, put you in a bed, and then, you'll be protected. But what kind of life is that? So for me, what did Jeff Bezos say? He wanted to look at the age of 80 and minimize the number of regrets that he has. So that's the way I look at it. I think that it's interesting because in our community, we're good at dealing with adversity, except when it comes to this. Yeah. So we can get over everything else. But for some reason, when it comes to business and playing at these kind of levels, it seems to intimidate us or shock us or scare us or whatever the case may be. So I would just say that it's really difficult, right, to achieve all of your dreams under someone's pay salary. I'm not saying that that's not a path. I definitely believe that everyone's not cut out to be an entrepreneur. But I do believe that if you know your true self, if you feel like you have what it takes and you're just afraid, then know that there's a huge network of people out here that's willing to support you, help you, train you, mentor you. So those are people I want to talk to, not the people that I don't want to convince anybody who's an employee who likes that 9 to 5 to change. I just want to focus on people that more of like, you're not cut out to be an employee. I want to work with you because those are people that once you get past that fear, you're going to do whatever it takes to make it. And so those are the people that I like working with.
Nah, that's great, bro. I appreciate that. And I could spare about 5 more minutes. So I'm going to squeeze this one in because earlier you were talking about, you told me to remind you of this. So hopefully this will ring a bell. You were talking about basically selling and buying businesses, something about the acquisition part. Yeah, it was something I want to say that.
We did I did installation event, like a little mini event as a pre-event to a major conference that I was at this past year. And at that event, this particular bank, financial institution, what we spoke about was that, going back to, it actually ties into this last thing that you mentioned. Okay. He said that for minority individuals, the fastest way to be successful in business is through acquisitions.
Okay.
And so one of the things that I would say, rather than focus on getting certifications, we might want to focus on learning the acquisition game, because that's how you can actually build a real business. And you can, well, not build it, but buy a business that's already built. And then you can leverage your certification to help it scale or grow, or, attach it to it, because you actually have credibility, authority, people, things like that. So I wanted to say that because that's why that's why we're talking about this now, because the guy and the person who's speaking on that, he's a friend of mine. He's the one that actually introduced me to the bank, but he did a $75 million acquisition this year. And last year did a $43 million acquisition on one of his companies. And then his other company, they're steadily buying 5 to 6 companies a year, somewhere in the $2 to $20 million range. So, and this guy is 52 years old. He's Black. He's a veteran. And so he's a really good friend of mine that will be speaking. And so I've had him on my show a couple of times. And again, it's just something that we're not exposed to, and we're not used to. Someone's told us about it, and I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. So
no, appreciate that, bro. I'm glad I brought that back up so you can say that part. So thank you so much, Eric, for coming on. Remind us again, where can we go to tap into this conference you got coming up?
GCGsummit.com.
Let's go, y'all. Let's go there. I'm about to go there. Make sure y'all go there with me. We're going to meet Eric there. We're going to meet all of these big heavy hitters there that we've been missing out on. I mean, they say if you want to be successful, you got to hang around successful people, right?
Be in the room.
Get in that room, y'all. Let's get in that room, y'all.
I will say this, AJ. If you miss the conference and then you complain about government contracting, don't call me.
Straight up.
Because if you say I'm the people are flying in because of me, and I'm telling them I'm going to have y'all there. So if y'all don't show up, don't be like, Eric, that guy that was at the conference, can you set me up? No, he was there. You had an opportunity to meet with him. We're taking out a yacht on day 2. So they're going to be all on there and private, that you can have 30 minutes, an hour to talk to these people and pick their brains, and also look at partnership opportunities and how you can work with these companies. So I'm putting them all in a room. I'm organizing and I'm paying the tab. So I don't want to hear anybody's excuse.
Let's go, y'all. And you said November, right?
November 14th to 15th. Fontainebleau, baby. Beautiful resort. Come on. It's amazing. 1,500 rooms. Like, I don't know what else you want.
Yeah. Gotta be there. Gotta be there. Let's get it, y'all. Make sure y'all go to GC. God damn it. I can't say it.
GCG Summit.
GCGsummit.com, y'all. Make sure y'all go there. Get your tickets before they sell out. We out here. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. Oh, and let them know how they can follow your journey going forward.
I'm everywhere. Coffie, ECOFFIE. Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, all over the place.
Perfect. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it.
All right, baby.